Robert Thornton went to RISD after World War II for his BFA in painting and never left, retiring in 1989 after 35 consecutive RISD faculty shows. His large canvases in acrylics and oil were unfailingly innovative and mildly controversial. His early style, formed with a wry edge and cynical opinion of the human psyche, extends otherwise familiar forms of anatomy and places to create darkly humorous compositions where the two-dimensional design overrides accurate portraiture. Later investigations capture even darker political themes or provide contrast in the stormy softness of impressionistic Rhode Island seascapes. Robert Thornton studied at the Rhode Island School of Design and received his BFA in painting in 1952. The following is an interview that I, Leanne Tremblay of Bert Gallery, conducted on Wednesday, January 9, 2008, with Robert Thornton and his wife, Ruth. How often do you paint, and how much time do you spend painting?
I paint. Well, I try to paint every day, but right now I've gone through a whole spell of not painting for about a month during the Christmas season. It's impossible to get involved in that holiday spirit and paint. It's two different worlds. So right now that we're into January, I think I'll get back to it and probably go from one painting to the next. I like to stay busy with it all the time. I do take breaks. This is one of the reasons why I wasn't crazy about doing this interview. I'm not in a painting, I hadn't been in a painting mode, but I'm getting back to it.
So how do you get your ideas?
Oh, they come from several different directions. Other art, for example, American folk art is a great source. And sometimes I just sit down and make little sketches of whatever I feel like making and compose them, and sometimes an idea for a painting will grow out of that. And it could come up verbally from a conversation. I may pick up an idea, so you get them from several different sources. It's very hard to know where the ideas come from.
Do you often talk to other artists about your work?
Not in a long time. We used to get into debates down at RISD about art, but not too. No, I haven't for a long time. I had a friend who was a philosopher who taught philosophy at RISD, and we used to talk together about the philosophy of art rather than how to make art. And so I don't know. I haven't talked to a painter for a long time. Except my son, he's an illustrator. We talk about it a lot.
Mm-hmm. How does the art world today differ from back when you were trained?
Well, when I was in school, I was trying to conform to a way of doing, and which I thought was my responsibility as an artist. And after I graduated and started working on my own, I suddenly realized that a way of doing it I can't do it according to a formula. It's not my way of doing it. For me, it became an act of discovery. So each painting really starts from scratch. It's a one-time thing, each painting is. And so that's why there's such a difference between my paintings, and the style. They change a lot because I discover what to do as I paint along. It's just rather than start with a formula.
So a lot of your work is humorous and some of it's sarcastic. So how can you kind of tell the difference in your paintings, whether you're trying to be funny or...
I don't know. I have never really made that distinction. It just floats in one direction or the other. Mm-hmm. Perhaps it depends upon the way I'm feeling. If I'm feeling sarcastic, it'll go that way. And I think all of them are dependent upon having a good sense of humor, really. Mm-hmm. And not taking myself too serious as an artist. I think it's important to just do the job, get the job done. I told my son, who's an illustrator, as I said, that I told him once that if you ever start feeling like an artist, go lie down until the feeling goes away.
So you're not taking yourself too seriously?
No, not really. I don't want to. It's just a job to do. Some people can draw and some people can't. I happen to be able to draw, so that's what I do.
So you enjoy doing it, though, right?
What?
You enjoy doing it?
Oh, yeah, very much, yeah. I get into a whole other mood, out of this world kind of a thing. I mean, if the phone rings, I can get very angry if I'm in the middle of a painting.
Or people walk around
Yeah,
upstairs.
because
He paints downstairs.
You're at a different, yeah, I paid in the basement. I had a studio downtown, but they raised the rent some years ago, so I got out of there. And, so, anyway.
So what's that like working at home versus working in a studio?
Oh, I like it because I can come up and raid the refrigerator if I want to. Or in the summertime, I usually have a small vegetable garden out in back. So if I get tired of painting, I just go out and mess around with that. And then go back to the painting. And you can't stay at the painting every minute. You know, you have to take breaks. And sometimes you reach a stalemate where you have to go do something else. So being around the house is a much more relaxing situation than being in a studio downtown somewhere.
Do you think you do more work because you're working at home, or less?
Yeah, I think I get more done. I've been known to get up in the middle of the night and go down and work on something when it occurred to me how to get out of a bind.
So there's a lot of things in your paintings a lot of elements that you repeat a lot, like you do a lot of different patterns, and you often have a border around the paintings.
Yeah.
What
Inspired the border?
Yeah, what inspired the border?
Well, pop art, actually. When I was doing what I thought was I was taking a traditional direction in painting. And then the whole situation in the art community pop art broke open, and people weren't doing art the way I thought they ought to do it. So I tried to join the movement. I thought putting borders on these
Andy
paintings.
Warhol, kind of?
Yeah, it would take it more into the realm of the fun thing that was going on during the pop art period. And then I got stuck with it. You know, I'm really sick of doing borders, as a matter of fact. They're sort of an afterthought. Sometimes they work just fine, and sometimes they're a real struggle. And you get a whole painting done, and you try to put this border on there, and it doesn't work, and you do it again and again and again.
What is it, the color that's...
Yeah, it's got to, as Kathy once said, if I'm not aware of the border, it works. But if it jumps out at you, it's not really helping the painting any at all. So sometimes I leave them, I do them, and sometimes I leave them out. And, so that's all I have to say about that.
So do you ever feel like the borders work as a frame? Or
Yeah, it's like that painting over there. It really calls for a strip molding around it, actually. You put a molding around that, and it would tie the whole thing together. Sort of like a mat, in a way.
Right.
And it kind of isolates the painting, too, from the surroundings around it, which I like. But I've always been ambivalent about that. I'm never sure whether I like them or not. But certain paintings call for it, I think, and some don't.